Then we have like SARAR, which is a collection of techniques that have been used within the development activities of the various like United Nations agencies. And you will learn more about SARAR, community participation techniques, in a video, which will be really making the point that SARAR is about experiential learning. So the idea that the United Nations should not go to a place and just like dictate what they want to do, but they will teach people in the community how to be self-sufficient. For example, this is not related to the United Nations, but in Puerto Rico, there were like some groups that after the hurricane happened, instead of like putting the roofs for people that have lost their roofs, they taught people how to do it. And there will be like a team, and this is actually like an architecture group that was like doing this, a non-profit, very small group, but they went and they brought all the materials and they had the knowledge. So they taught people how to fix their roofs, and then those people will teach other people in the community how to fix the roofs, and they will provide the materials. So next time that there's a hurricane, the idea is that they have the skills and the capacity to be able to solve problems on their own. So there might be other issues that people can think about in villages. For example, people could teach about food and like how to maintain a clean kitchen when you're going to sell food, or how to build a home, and all kinds of different skills to have a healthy and long life. The one thing that is very interesting about the SARAR is that everything is very visual, and so you will use a lot of images and a lot of drawing, not a lot of writing and not a lot of reading, and not a lot of lectures. So you don't want to start a SARAR workshop by just giving a lecture to people about roofs. So it's more like you spend the time talking to people about, first of all, of their loss, because it's devastating to lose part of your home and living in very unhealthy and unsafe conditions. So talking about their experiences and like their lives, just making relationships and friendships as opposed to just giving a lecture. And then the idea is that after people are more familiar with each other, they will get to work, and that's how they will learn. So the idea also of SARAR is that adults and people who are like lower income, in the United Nations context, many of them do not know how to read or write. So that's why you want to use a lot of images. And just also as a planner, you don't think that you're like looking down on people. I think that that's a big mistake. Just by saying, oh, if you use like pictures or images, you're looking down on people. That's not true at all. It is a way of like making it more engaging and more like hands-on, and something that it will stick actually with people, as opposed to like a lecture and lots of words. So there's some examples that are presented in the book, like or exercises that you can do with SARAR. So they have the pocket chart. The pocket chart is wall hanging in where you have like, you will make boats, but it's a way of like making choices or provide information of like notes that you would like to put inside of these pockets. And the pocket chart is used as a way to, again, just make sure it says and provide information. Then you have the 3-pile sorting. So participants are given a set of pictures, so showing a different activities, such as, let's say, farming and sanitation and irrigation. And they are asked to sort these in terms of like, these are good activities or good chores, jobs these are bad activities and these are in between. And they could be ranking this because of pay or because of having hazardous conditions, doing work that again maybe is not valued or it has potential health consequences. Then you have the story with a gap, and in this exercise respondents are given 2 pictures, and one is showing an undesirable situation in the community and the other one is showing a desirable condition in the community. So we might have a kid going to the bathroom outside and there's not latrine. And then in the other picture you have children going to a latrine. And they're like asked of creating a story describing what will take to get from kids not using a latrine to using a latrine. So obviously the latrine will have to be built and people will have to have the resources and the materials to be able to do this. And then there might be like some cultural change that is needed as well. So the idea is like they're asking that question, like this is desirable, this is undesirable, how we get from this to this in order to be able to think about how the future could look like.
The experiential part is so important in terms of adult education because that's how adults learn. And the SARAR approaches and principles can be built into a lot of training programs where you move from the more experiential to the more didactic through the workshop process. Lyra Srinivasan talked about the fact that the Prowess Manual, Tools for Community Participation, was deliberately designed so that even though it was focused primarily on water and women, that people could understand by reading through the principles and be able to adapt them to their own concerns and sectors.
First of all, you have to begin with the conviction that the people are capable of thinking for themselves, that they have the intellect, the capacity to think through their problems. And so you do not give them solutions, you give them situations and you challenge them to find ways to improve that situation. And that's where the community members can challenge each other and come up with their own ideas. And it has proved to be both enjoyable and productive.
Fue en el año del 2004, finales del 2004, 2005 aproximadamente, en donde nosotros empezamos a trabajar con SARAR y Teposeco. Nos enseñaron la metodología SARAR con herramientas muy sencillas, unos dibujos, mapas, dibujar nuestro pueblo, nuestra casa y nuestro baño. Y se fue trabajando por equipos, se hicieron equipos no me acuerdo si fue de 5 o 10 familias, me parece. Entonces fue importante porque había gente que a veces no sabía leer, ¿no? Pero sí se interesaba en pintar o en dibujar.
Creativity is an essential goal of SARAR. Unless we can stimulate the mind of the village people to come up with their own ideas, they're always going to be dependent on the outsider. So we have to enable them to see how they can solve very simple problems and then increase the complexity of the stimulus that we provide them.
One of the things very important about SARAR is it helps people reflect on their own role as trainers. And often what happens to trainers or community promoters or educators is that they tend to teach the way they learned. And they often fall into this role of being an authority. And we all like to do that. Right now I'm the specialist. I'm talking about what you need to do. And this is a real danger when you're trying to help people develop self-esteem.
SARAR is an acronym which involves self-esteem, associative strength, resourcefulness, action planning, and responsibility for follow-through.